What is up, guys? Rick Hackus here, going over the Pakhan high-end light machine gun in the Division Open Beta. Now, the Pakhan is one of two high-end weapons available from a vendor located deep in the Dark Zone, to which you're seeing the location of right now. High-end weapons are the Division's version of legendaries from Borderlands or exotics from Destiny. They're the best of the best, top-tier unique weapons in the game. Now, I've actually already reviewed the second high-end weapon available in the open beta, the Liberator, and I'll link that review down in the description if you guys want to check it out, but this video we are focusing on the Pakhan. Now, because the high-end weapons in the Division Open Beta require such a substantial investment in order to purchase, you have to be rank 8 overall, the maximum rank of rank 12 in the Dark Zone, and have 7,000 of the Dark Zone currency to buy either one of these high-end weapons. You're probably asking the very fair question, is it any good? Is it worth buying the Pakhan? Well, let's start off with the stats. 390 damage, 650 rounds per minute, and a magazine size of 45. The 390 and the 650 rounds per minute means that this thing is going to be putting forth its damage not quite as high as the Liberator. The Liberator that I got was like 440 damage, 850 rounds per minute, so its damage output is substantially higher than that of the light machine gun. Statistically, the area where the Pakhan excels is that magazine size. 45 is pretty substantial, and it beats out the Liberator's 30. Now, before we go over how this gun actually performs in-game, and I've got a good mix of gameplay on both AI enemies and other players, let's go over the talents, or essentially perks, of this weapon. The first perk we have is Swift. Reloading is 5% faster. A pretty simplistic perk, but unfortunately not that amazing. 5% really isn't a substantial bonus, although it is nice, it isn't anything you're going to notice very often. The next perk we have here is Destructive. Armor destruction value is increased by 6% when using this weapon. Again, that seems nice to have, but 6% is not a very substantial bonus. Now remember, those first two perks are going to require a certain investment in firearms, stamina, or electronics in terms of your armor in order to have them active. The last perk is the perk that is uniquely tied to this exotic weapon. You can tell this by its gold lettering and the fact that it doesn't require any skills to be active. This perk will, again, always be active for this weapon, and it is Ferocious. Damage against elite and named enemies is increased by 5%. So when you encounter a boss, for example, like Spider or Cassidy or whoever in the Dark Zone, someone with an actual name like a boss, you're going to be doing 5% more damage to them, which is not bad. Again, 5% isn't that substantial, but it is a decently useful perk overall. Now, although none of these perks provide substantial bonuses in terms of the actual percent increased, the reason I actually kind of like these perks is because perks on a lot of other weapons require you to do multiple things, like you get more skill power when you do this, or when you use a skill then something happens. These are all just perks that will passively always affect the gun. You're always reloading 5% faster, you're always penetrating 6% more armor, and you're always doing more damage against elite and named enemies constantly, no matter what you're doing, which is definitely a good thing. Now let's move on to the Pakhan's performance in-game, and I've got to say right off the bat, I was extremely surprised by how much I liked this gun. And this is coming from someone who I don't really like light machine guns in the Division. The light machine guns that I've experienced have way too much recoil for my liking. So I really had a negative view of light machine guns going into purchasing this weapon. I wasn't expecting much from the Pakhan, but I was pleasantly, very pleasantly surprised by, again, how effective this weapon is. This weapon does have the attribute that all light machine guns in the Division have, where if you shoot it and continue to shoot it, it's actually going to grow more and more accurate. Now, although if you're in the open and you try to engage an enemy, you can have some trouble controlling that recoil, if you're behind cover, you can go fully automatic and land your shots consistently at medium and even longer medium ranges, which is very surprising. And because of that, the Pakhan is actually a headshot machine. Once the reticle grows its most accurate, you can just place it over an enemy's head and go fully automatic, consistently landing every shot on the head. You'll be able to absolutely melt enemies if you're doing this. Throughout my time using the Pakhan, I was constantly surprised by how often I would engage enemies at relatively longer ranges and go fully automatic and land all of my shots. That is an attribute that most assault rifles don't even have. The accuracy of this weapon is reminiscent of the Caduceus high-end assault rifle from the Division closed beta, and those of you who use that will know how much of a compliment that is. And I also just want to emphasize that magazine size. A magazine size of 45 is pretty substantial because the magazine attachments increase magazine size by a pretty substantial amount as well. You can get upwards of 30% magazine size bonuses. The one I was using was on the lower end at 24, and it still bumped my magazine up to 55. So you're running around with an extremely accurate, basically like assault rifle light machine gun hybrid with a 55 round magazine. And damn right that means you're gonna win a lot of firefights in the Dark Zone. People are just gonna get caught reloading as you're continuing to pump lead into them. So, overall, the Pakhan high-end light machine gun was a fantastic weapon. In terms of what you should buy, this or the Liberator, it's really up to you. You honestly can't go wrong. Both weapons are very, very effective. However, look at your secondary weapon. If you're running with longer range secondary weapons like marksman rifles, I would recommend the Liberator. It's better up close. But if you want a medium range primary or a really good medium range weapon, because let's say you run shotguns as your secondary, I would change my recommendation to the Pakhan because it can reach out and touch enemies at medium to longer ranges, whereas the Liberator again is better in those close quarters scenarios. Now, that's it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating or sharing this video. If you want to see more Division content, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. Now, if you want to get in touch with me, the best way is to follow me on Twitter. That's linked in the description down below, as is my Twitch channel, which you can follow as well. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day. Now, the Caduceus is one of two high-end weapons available in the beta. High-end weapons are essentially the Division's version of exotic weapons from Destiny or legendary weapons from Borderlands. They are the best top-tier unique weapons available in the game. Now, how do you get your hands on the Caduceus?